Hello, guys. Hope you're doing well. This is TJ, and you're listening to Beyond the Ring podcast. And this is my review of new A&E biography on Bret the Hitman Hart. So this was a very good watch of this biography, and A&E biography really puts some good biographies, not so dark like Dark Side of the Ring, and not so controversial or something. It's a kind of a typical biography that you see from the start to the end that we are seeing. But some of them we have seen that they omit some things of their career. But I mean, you can say that most of the things that we have seen in this biography, we actually have read about or known about somewhere or the another. If you have read about it, so the documentary actually begins with. Uh, I want to just say that before we get into the biography, please be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more wrestling content like this. So let's get into this then. Appreciate that. And the beginning of this biography, actually, we saw covering his early childhood, how he getting into the professional wrestling. As we know, he was not the eldest child or the younger. He was in the middle, and Stu Hart has 12 children. Stu Hart was a wrestler, and he turned promoter then for Stampede Wrestling that we saw. And he used to train people in his dungeon very rigorously, as Natalia actually tells us. And Stu Hart actually had many challenges that he had faced for raising 12 for raising his 12 kids actually. So that's a huge number, and that's a huge responsibility. And Bret Hart actually said that he used to Stuart actually loves cooking, and he used to cook six dishes, and six different dishes for each of them, kind of that. Yeah, six for one dish for six people, and another dish for another six people that he used to see. So that was a very important responsibility that he had. So he didn't run away like other biography and other wrestlers fathers we say, as we see in the biographies. So he was not like that. So he has that upbringing of pride, and that instilling confidence, because whenever Bret Hart actually faced bullying at school over his father's profession, that he was not a lawyer or a kind of a doctor or something. He was a professional wrestler. So his friends actually kind of mocks him in his childhood. So but he didn't get, as Stu had actually then instilled confidence, and saying that you are the Hart boys, you never fail, you will never fail, kind of confidence that he gave. So that's a great thing that his father gave. So and then we got a point where Stu Hart actually sold his that promotion, Stampede Wrestling, to Vince McMahon's WWF, because as that time, 1980, mid 1980s, you can say mid 1980s, that was a time where territorial promotions were winding up and was being bought by WCW, WCCW. Actually, WCCW and NWA, WCCW and WWF were the main players, and then WCCW turned on to WCW by that turner actually bought that. So that's a whole another thing that I'm saying. So he sold his promotion. So Bret Hart, initially he was into filmmaking. He would never actually thought about he would be getting into wrestling, but he was filmmaking stuff, and we actually see some shots and all that he had created. But he didn't catch up on that, and he left that, and he actually then decided to get into the wrestling business. And as his brothers and his family, and he actually trained in his Bret Hart's, actually Stu Hart's, his father's dungeon. As we say, the dungeon of Stu Hart is one of the dangerous rigorous training that we have, because he used to put in on a very pain and rigorous holds and submission holds. So he likes to give the pain to the competitors, to explain the things, as Natalia was saying. So Natalia was had a very had a major interview in this biography, because yeah, she's already signed with W, so there's no kind of a problem to her being saying all the details that she has already know. So he actually trained, and he actually started to wrestling and Stampede Wrestling. And then, as I said, Stu actually sold his Stampede Wrestling to Vince McMahon's WWF. WWF then actually had the word that we will take the four of your child, and that four was the Davy Boy Smith, Jim Neidhart, and the Bret Hart. So Bret Hart was initially paired up with in a tag team with Davy Boy Smith. No, not Davy Boy Smith. He was with Jim Neidhart as a tag team, the Hart Foundation, and their manager was Jimmy Hart, and they actually pretty much carried out as that well, and they had that surnames as well. If you see the Hart surnames, that was getting very good. And if you have the mouth of the South Jimmy with you, and we have the two very great wrestlers, so that made that chemistry were really good, and they were very they were as on the one hand, Jim Neidhart was very outrageous and his promos were very raged, while Bret Hart was completely opposite. Bret Hart was very calm, and he used to be a heartthrob of 1980s, because the girls actually used to love him actually, and he used to get lots of fan letters, and he was fluid. He was near flawless, and he was a more of a technical wrestler, while Jim Knighton was a powerhouse wrestler. So that was a mixing of style, and we have Jimmy Hart, and he does his stuff very good. That's just bragging about anything, and Hart actually didn't think about he would be getting into the singles wrestling, but Vince McMahon at a point calls him, and he actually offers him to be break up from the tag team and put him in the singles wrestling thing. And he actually didn't think upon first time that he would be a better fit for the company, because that was a time where big guys were doing the rounds, because that was the time Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, kind of, that was the time. But even Sting, you can say Sting was not in the WWF. Yes, I know, but I mean, I'm talking about the whole industry that time. So he was not like that. He was a more technical wrestler, and high flying thing was not a very prominent thing in American wrestling. So that's why Vince McMahon didn't thought about that they would be very good fit. But initially, around the line, he actually had that Vince McMahon actually had that idea to have that singles run for him, and he gets into the singles performing, and he was uh, his promos were very infused, kind of with personal stories about his family and the pride and the skill and his upbringing and all, his father's tutelage that he instilled in him. And it's a different kind of character that we have never seen, kind of thing, because if you have that kind of family that lives and breathes wrestling, and then we get into that, and then we get out of that, so that's a very great experience, as well as you can certainly have make that storyline. So that's what Vince McMahon did, and that's what the plan actually had. So it struck a very different kind of storyline, and because of earlier figures like Hulk Hogan, they were kind of a cartoonish era, because that was a time and this was a kind of a changing era in 1985, kind of slowly picking up and slowly changing the era of wrestling and the style of wrestling. And we saw some footage of his calm and engaged presence among fans, illustrating the two-way connection he cultivated with his public. And we actually saw his 90s swagger began to seep into his image and that Hitman character, and still he was a kind of champion that young kids felt comfortable chatting with him on the visit on a school or something. And family became more and more a staple of Hart's WWE storyline, because we have two biggest storyline that we had, and we remember even now to this day, and that's that best match from the UK, that SummerSlam 1992, I think, yeah, 1992 SummerSlam versus Davy Boy Smith. We can say the Dynamite Kick, or the British Bulldog, yeah, British Bulldog, for the Intercontinental Championship. And this was a great match, and Dinah Hart, actually wife of British Bulldog, actually said that 80,000 people were there. How they were, because the family was not very happy to see that thing, but they really did tell a good story. And she was happy that her husband actually won. And Diana Smith watching Pencil as her brother and husband trade blows over gold and glory, and the relatable tensions of family egos, resentments, arguments, taking sides, and all continued with another storyline in which, as we in the later in the kind of preaching into 2000 era, we saw Owen Hart's rivalry. 1997, I think, yeah, Owen Hart was hellbent, and this was a very more personal that this was a little kid, and if you know, Owen Hart was the youngest kid of Stu Hart, and they had the he was the youngest kid, so but if we see the Wembley Stadium match was so much over and more over than I would say than Owen Hart storyline that they played out, because that was a match, and that was a match in Wembley Stadium in UK, first ever pay per view, major pay per view of WWE in UK. So fans were literally excited at that time. So that was a different kind of era, because 90s was just kicking off, and so that was a different but when we get to 97 or something, we were kicking it off to the attitude era, and we're turning because that time WCW WWE war was going on, so a lot of different situations you can discuss about. But two different things, I mean, if I would say, I didn't have seen the build up of the SummerSlam 1992, but there's a personal thing, that a personal family thing that they had. But really, I mean, I can say that Owen Hart's character build up and his turn was very breather, a very life breather for Owen Hart's career, because he was doing nothing, because he was just with he had just had the Davy Boy Smith tag team that he was going. I mean, that was not good. I am not saying that was good, but when he turned into the Bret Hart's WWF champion, that he actually looked upon, then after winning the champion, because at that same pay per view he actually beat, and he actually beat Bret Hart, and in the same pay per view at the end of that, Bret Hart is champion, and that was the time Owen Hart had that childish kind of ego that they had, and it was perfect for I mean Owen Hart, because that family thing actually put on a very great detail and a very great penetration to this storyline. I mean, you cannot expect this storyline to be told by another guy or something. You can say Steve Austin or something, like, just for example, because the family thing just made this storyline very better, and I like the character of Owen Hart, and I actually seen this thing and the build up of this, so that's why I'm telling 1992 thing. I seen the match, but the match was great, but I didn't have watched the build up and all how it was gotten. So it was definitely kind of a, as I said, personal family thing that they had. So yeah, so then we get to the as we get to the 96 97 period, and this was the time we were nearing to the screw job thing, because that was a time we actually have seen this thing in Shawn Michaels documentary as well, and many other articles and all, as the storyline was going on. And Bret had Shawn Michaels actually said that he has some sunny days that's going on, but Bret didn't like it, and that actually had that effect on his family moments, as well as his child were asking, who is Sonny, do you have that relationship? So that made him uncomfortable, and that made the story heated and personal, actually a real life personal thing that happened. And is this the story of Bret Hart, that saying we actually this is something changed. I mean, I don't know it's changed or this is right, but uh, we see that this in many things that Bret was a reason why that was the reason why, because of what Vince McMahon. I mean, that was the reason why this happened. I mean that I don't know what is right, which is right, because that's a kind of a discussion to be made. But still, I mean, Shawn Michaels really had that attitude that was there at that time, that cocky attitude, that overconfidence attitude. He was cocky as hell, man. He was the epitome of cocky. I mean, he has that ugly personality, and he wasn't that great. I mean, I can say that the 96 97 period of Shawn Michaels, he was playing the character very well, he was portraying the character very well. But at my inner heart, I didn't like the version of Shawn Michaels of that. I definitely liked after he returned into the 2000 era. I mean, he was more, I mean, I have said in this any biography of Shawn Michaels, he was more wasn't pressurized. He had gone out of the bad habits and all. So I'm not discussing into that. This is Bret Hart's biography. Sorry for getting into that. So this documentary then covers the heights of their rivalry, and handling the darker days of Bret Hart's life with that financial, because that was a time where WWE was also going with the financial problems, and Bret Brett actually was had the offer from WCW, and that was uh, 10 millions. Yeah, 10 millions. They were 9 million. 9 million they were saying for 3 years, and that's guaranteed. While WWF actually said that 10 million for 10.5 million for 20 years. So that's a no-brainer deal that you would go for WCW. But he didn't go. He didn't left because he was more loyal to Vince McMahon WWF. So he stayed there. But what Vince McMahon did was a real betrayal, and that's no doubt. I can say that, and yeah, that's no doubt. You can say whatever you can. That's my opinion. I'm saying that. But the Bret Hart and all, because we see that this is a starting that have been made by Shawn Michaels, but we have seen these things and all. I mean, this was a time where these personal things were not commented. So Shawn, I mean, I can say that Shawn really made the personal comment. I mean, I would say that that actually had struck upon Bret Hart. So Bret Hart has this thing. I mean, Bret is also responsible. If you think about that, they would some wrestler that just they would be doing anything for the business. There are very many wrestlers that do anything for wrestling, any character or anything that the company does. So the company actually, so he had actually valued him, and actually had that I wasn't expecting this from Shawn Michaels. I didn't expect it. So really, he had that heat or hate for Shawn Michaels. So that's why actually that actually had that fire upon him. Because just if you see that, just a comment. I mean, I'm not saying that Shawn Michaels, what Shawn Michaels actually said was right or wrong. But for the storyline perspective, if you see, we have seen more things and all, personal things and all. We have also seen death being played out in the storylines and all. We have seen that. So I mean, I can agree that that was not the time where that was kind of getting accepted, because later on the era we kind of gets accepted, and with that kayfabe and kind of thing that was getting removed and getting vanished time by time. So I mean, if you see, there's not a blame for Bret Hart as well as Shawn Michaels. Both are responsible for this situation. If Bret Hart had that thing that this was a storyline that he did, and if he explained his family or not, he didn't get that into his heart, this would have been a whole different scenario. But what Vince McMahon did, I'm not speaking about Montreal Screwjob, but Montreal Screwjob was another thing, because that's a Vince McMahon decision. And I mean, maybe Shawn Michaels would be, I mean, Shawn Michaels had that thing, Shawn Michaels did know that thing, but I mean, I can expect that Vince McMahon is the one who does the decision. Even though Shawn Michaels have said that the decision hands on the responsibility was on the Vince McMahon. So we are being seeing like that he doesn't care the f about anyone. He just want to make money, and I mean, he's devoted into that, and he's devoted, and he's holding up very well in this industry. And I mean, I can say that he had brain, and he had that experience, and that's why he can turn around. So that's why he's it's doing good. So that was a time when the WWF was not at a good financial period as well. So this actually this played out, and Bret Hart was got angry, and they had the war in the they had kind of yeah they had the fight in the locker room, and that actually led Vince McMahon cut his pay. So this was a time when Bret Hart was very frustrated and worried, because what he was doing, what he was expecting, wasn't happening, as he didn't want to go into WCW because of what the deal was. But all the other guys like Jim Ross and all, if I was been, I would be trying for that, if that they were saying, that's why. So if the deal is still hanging around, so he didn't want to go to WCW. Maybe he didn't trust their booking and all the thing, and maybe. So that's why. But he did really need that money. So he just said to Vince McMahon that he said to Sean, they had the plan to drop the title, and we know that story. And Shawn Michaels said that I would never drop the title to you, even if I was a champion. So that made Bret Hart even more angry, and that made kind of a angry situation. And he said to Vince McMahon that I don't want I would be doing anything and I would be dropping the title to anyone, but I would not be titled. I cannot drop the title to someone who is not respecting me. That's his explanation. That's his biography tells upon. I mean, really, Bret Hart has that kind of urgency, a kind of that. Kind of the we could say that kind of mental problem that what he think upon and what he valued upon, he wasn't getting that, and he wants to get that, and if he don't get that, he will not do the job. I mean, he really was not a businessman kind of guy. He really actually ascertained what all the situation is going on, and according to that he used to calculate upon what to do and what not to. So this changed the decision of Bret Hart actually. And Vince McMahon, he actually had the conversation before the match that we can get this done in a very other way, kind of a DQ finish or something, and Vince agreed on that, and we actually listened upon the tape as well. And this ultimate betrayal by Vince McMahon, and we cannot forget about this for what Vince did actually. And Vince actually, we also already saw that Brett was put upon the sharpshooter by Shawn Michaels, and Brett didn't tapped out. Referee actually, Earl Hebner actually to ring the bell, as Vince McMahon and Bret Hart actually said that he was reversing, and he actually saw Vince McMahon telling to the timekeeper area to ring the bell, and this was a time, as we all seen, he was that drawn the WCW sign. He actually spit it upon, and especially he really good did spit upon very well, as he says. And Vince McMahon still to this day, because as they were filming this biography, and he actually said that he didn't regret upon what he did, and it was the right decision that he did made. I mean, what the f, man, what right decision are you doing? I mean, how can you think about like that? I mean, you're trusting someone by saying that I will do this, and you are completely opposing the thing. I mean, but you could have done the good way as well. He's not kind of a jobber or something. He carried on your division, your top echelon in, in many for many years, and you're just giving this thing. And he actually said upon that for lots of hard work that he did in WWF. This was the present that Vince McMahon did, and he was really frustrated, and he was really kind of down after that what McMahon did. And he actually had that plane ride where he was going back, which we saw, and he was crying. And on the next week of Raw, we saw that McMahon actually insisting that Jim Ross actually asked that sit down interview that who actually what was the situation, and he McMahon says that Brett screwed Brett. I mean, this is a long discussing topic you can discuss upon, but discussed upon various wrestling fan base by kind of you can bury the hatchet now, because this is a long kind of discussion that we had did. But they already buried the hatchet in after 12 years when he came back to Raw. And before that we have seen before that we actually seen the unfortunate news that Owen Hart's passing, and he was in the WCW, and he was never interested in what he was doing in that, and he was at the NW. Can you expect Bret Hart with NW, man? I mean, he really didn't fit. I mean, seeing his walking down the aisle or ramp, I mean, you cannot expect that he was doing good. He was very like, by looking at his face, he was really not enjoying his time there. So they didn't really put upon his run, because that wasn't great as well. I mean, if you have not discussed or something, and that's always the case with the A&E Biography. They did not discuss the other company's thing. They just use some sentence or some footage or something that they have from somewhere. Owen Hart uh, passed away, and he all out of the wrestlers come upon and had the had the funeral, and we actually saw that was a sad moment. And fast forward to 12 years, we saw Hart returning to Raw and faced McMahon at WrestleMania 26 in 2010. And before that, we had Shawn Michaels segment that they had on Raw, and they buried the hatchet, and Vince McMahon had the storyline playing on, and he was smiling, and he actually kicked in the balls, and they run on to that storyline, and they had the match in WrestleMania 26. That wasn't a really great match, but fans enjoyed that my comeback and all, as Bret Hart says. And he was I mean, if you see his career, he was a he was a very great wrestler for 10 years. I mean, say, if you omit that controversial part, but he really did had that mainstream attention. I mean, this is a thing that you have never seen in the professional wrestling industry, that the screw job that have never happened, because we discuss that it's fake or real or something, this fake or something, but we have never seen in the life that kind of moment. So this was a very uh, kind of a kind of a very spotlight kind of moment that WWE history can never erase this. So I mean, that's had a fair share of bad things for Bret Hart's name, as well as good for Bret Hart, because fans love the animosity and that real life thing that's going on in the ring actually, and that's professional wrestling. If you have that real life story life going on, fans actually enjoy that even now as well. So friendship storyline as well, that holds to that same as well. So he then was neither swaggering hitman or the virtuos of technical wrestling at 2010 time that his fans had been so enamored of in the late 80s and 90s. And he danced a hard tango with loss, injury, misadventure, and time, and come out of it performer with physical limitations who returned to just do one thing, put the past to bed, and connect with fans who still cared, as he says, and never more vulnerable and never more compelling to those who had missed his presence in the business he was born into, pro wrestling. So this was a quote that he had. So after that, they had the brief focus on his brief focus in real life situation that he, because he divorced his first wife and he actually married upon another wife who is kind of a half in his age. He's 60 or something, 60 plus, and she is 30 plus, 38 or something. And she actually states that sometimes I actually feel like 60 and he actually feels like 30 or something. So kind of an odd or kind of a relationship that they had, kind of a father daughter relationship, but still they are having that, they are enjoying it, and they have the first wife's child and all. They have the good moments that they had, the clicks and all that they clicks, photo clicks and pictures that we have seen, we actually saw in this biography. So kind of a closing moment that there, and in the end he says that he reconnected with his adult children who and found love again with current wife Stephanie Washington Hart, his second wife. And he had the family, creativity, ambition, success, loss, depression, health crisis, and recovery, and all of that, divorce as well, and finding love once more, and nothing. And he ends this with this quote that nothing that is human is left out of the story of Hitman Hart. And A&E's, this was A&E's biography, the ending of the biography of Bret Hart. So this was a good biography. You can watch it. Nothing to say much about. Not nothing new things or something, but it's pretty recalling things that if you want to recall the stuff that happened, you can really watch this biography. This was a good piece of watch, but never really recommended or something. You should watch this or something. Some kind of Ultimate Warrior or some kind of, you can say, the dark side of the ring version of the Grizzly Smith or something. I mean, you can compare this because this was a more mainstream thing that they had. I mean, I'm not comparing, but just the sake for information I'm telling. So if you have not known about Bret Hart or something, so you can really watch this, a good biography. This is a good biography put on by A&E Biography. They sugarcoated something, but that's A&E Biography, because they had that's WWE doing things. So that's it. This is my review and thoughts and discussion on the biography and all that happened in this biography. I hope you enjoyed this episode as well. I really will be doing the future episodes for A&E Biography, Dark Side of the Ring as well. So please be sure to like this video, share it with your wrestling friends, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down your thoughts, suggestions on my podcast, on my reviews. What do you want to see to improve on me? So I want all the suggestions that you have in my comment section. If you think upon, appreciate that you are listening. So before we go, I want to say this: be safe, stay energetic, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.